What's up everyone, Chris Osberg here, Winding Road Magazine. Today I'm here with this bruiser of a truck. This is the all-new redesigned 2017 Ford F-250 Super Duty. Look at this thing. Absolutely inspired by Transformers design language. This looks like every kid's favorite toy grown up into a big old truck. Particular vehicle I have to test today is the Super Cab or Super Crew 4-door version. It's actually the shorter wheelbase and shorter bed variant of the Super Crew, but it's still a very big truck. Single rear wheel option, meaning it does not have the dual rear wheel axle configuration. Let's take a look around this thing. It also happens to be the King Ranch trim level, which isn't quite the top dog, the Platinum, but it's almost fully loaded out. As tested price is right around $76,000 for this Power Stroke diesel F-250. It is a well-equipped, very nice looking, very large truck. It's gonna take me a while just to walk around this thing. There's the front end, Ford logo, big right in the middle there. Very nice touches. We got the full LED lighting package, which includes LED daytime running lamps and main beams and high beams. I do like the chromed out tow hooks you see affixed to the frame there. Those are absolutely solid. You could pull a tree down with those. Let's go ahead and take a look around this thing. Well, actually, since we're on the outside, let's start with the bed. So, this fully loaded King Ranch has a power operated tailgate, which you can release from inside the truck, hydraulically damped so it comes down nice and smooth. This is high. I'm about 6 feet tall, and the tailgate is just about up to my belly button. So how do you get into this thing? Press this button right here. Out comes step and a handle. Voila. And up we go. Factory installed spray in bed liner. Seems to be quite durable. Nice textured finish. Got a modular locking hook system, which functions as a tie down. There are also accessories that you can lock into the back of the bed here. Cleverly thought out by Ford. Nice back glass here with the sliding rear panel. Get a little bit of ventilation in the back of the truck. Also have some nice features. We have some LED lighting back here. And that's about it. So it's what you'd expect in the back of a nice pickup. Very stiffly sprung. I can barely bounce it at all jumping around back here. So, all right. Now we've done that. Follow the directions here. 1, 2. Very easy to pick up this tailgate, by the way. Okay. This guy is equipped with a receiver hitch in the back. Tow capacity of this configuration is somewhere around 17,600 pounds, which is a whole lot of trailer. Payload capacity of this 250 in this configuration is also right around 3,500 pounds, which is also quite a bit of weight. To put it in perspective, it's about double of what is available in my F-150, which is a similar configuration, Super Crew cab and shorter box. So, what's new about this thing? Well, Ford has put a lot of engineering into the weight saving. So they've taken the expertise and the know-how from the F-150 line, which includes using extensively aluminum panels in the cab of the truck and also the bed, and they've applied it to their Super Duty line. So, believe it or not, this big truck has gone on a substantial diet of about 350 pounds, and we now have a truck which is all the way around made out of aluminum. The frame itself, as you can see underneath there, is still made out of steel, but a lot of weight is saved by going to aluminum panels, and you can feel it when you open the doors. There definitely is a lightness to it. Not a cheapness, but a lightness. So, hey, you can see the power-operated running boards that come out to greet me there. Let's go ahead and take a look under the hood of this thing. So, oh yeah. That is the 6.7 liter Scorpion Power Stroke diesel coming to life. Jeez. So this thing cranks out 925 pound-feet of torque, and you can see the whole truck shakes when I hit the accelerator pedal here. It's quite entertaining, actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop the hood in this thing. It's just reminding me that the keys are in my pocket and the vehicle is still running. So, hell, the hood is quite light. There again, the aluminum's coming into play. Here we go. This is one heck of an engine. Full disclosure, about 10 years ago, I was on a team to help design some of the internal components of this engine, so it is a little bit near and dear to me. It is one of my favorite diesel engines out there, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about it. So in this configuration, we've got actually two batteries over here. It's a 6.7 liter V8 engine with a CGI engine block, aluminum heads, pushrod design. It's a hot side in engine, meaning the intakes are actually on the outside of the V, and the exhaust manifold and turbocharger are sitting in the middle of the V. So it's a lot going on here. We've got an absolutely massive EGR cooler module over here. We've got some intake piping here. It's not much you can see. Look at the size of the engine control unit over there in the corner. It's kind of cool. You see some additional work related, or let's say occupational or heavy duty related items on these Super Duty trucks like this. Little gauge here that tells you when your air filter gets restricted, because if you're out in the construction zones or the oil sites all day, your filter is going to get clogged up with dirt more quickly, and it's a nice little gauge to tell you when it's time to change that air filter. So the fuel injection system is made by Bosch. It has Bosch CP4 pump on it, and it's got high performance piezo fuel injectors, and it is really the latest and greatest technology. So it's all the technology you're going to find on modern passenger car diesels, scaled up to 6.7 liters, giving you 440 horsepower and 925 pound-feet of torque. For those of you outside of the US, that's, I don't know, 1,250 or so pound-feet, or newton meters, I'm sorry, 1,250 or so newton meters of torque, which is absolutely phenomenal in a passenger car. It wasn't long ago when heavy-duty big rigs were not making much more than that. So you have major power available to you in your pickup truck. I can't even reach that, so let me get up on my tippy toes, swing this down. There we go. Let's take a look at the rear cab area. While we're here, we've got diesel and, of course, a separate tank for your DEF, or diesel exhaust fluid. It's the aqueous urea mixture that gets injected into the SCR catalyst in the exhaust stream, which helps reduce the NOx emissions of diesel vehicles. If you peek under this thing, there's an absolutely massive after treatment system to make this diesel much cleaner than diesels used to be. So in the back, lots of legroom. It is the Super Crew configuration, King Ranch, so you have this fancy Java dark colored leather. It actually feels really nice. They've done a good job of upping the interior quality of this thing. Seats fold up nice and easy. We got some storage here, even with some modular, I don't know what you call it, storage rack kind of things that, I got stuff in here now so I can't move it too much, but this stuff all folds in and does something. I'm not going to take the time to do it right now, but they've made it practical for when you're not hauling cargo and you're just hauling the groceries. You got some place to put your stuff. So heated rear seats. Here we go. This is kind of cool. We got a power inverter back here with 400 watts of 120 volt power, which is a lot. So typically when you have these inverters in cars, you're only getting 150, maybe 200 watts. This is 400 watts, so you can do a lot. I mean, there's no problem to charge just about any piece of electronics you're going to have. Charging power tools on the job site, you name it, 400 watts is a lot of power to work with. So good job on Ford on, let's say, overdoing it a little bit there. So jumping into the cabin, stainless steel plate reminds me this is the King Ranch edition. All right, Notice the seat brings me back. Anytime you turn off the ignition, it brings the seat back a little bit to give you a little bit more room to get in and out of this thing, because, you know, some of these guys driving these trucks, they might need that. So every time you fire it up, it gives you a reminder it's built for tough, as if there's any question about it. So because the codpiece went out of style after the 16th century, now we have massive, massive trucks to express our masculinity. And, you know, I'm guilty of it too. I've got a F-150, which I know I've mentioned too many times already. But this is just a whole nother level. I don't need a truck this big personally. But I'm happy to take a look at this one and tell you guys all about it. So, getting up in the cabin, first thing you notice is really nice by pickup standards. I think every generation Ford incrementally improves on the features, the livability, the interior quality, the drivability of their trucks, and this new Super Duty is no exception there. So here we go. Gauges, I really like them. So why? They're very legible, easy to read at a glance. All the information you have or you need is in the middle. Plenty configurable. We've got trip computers, we've got fuel economy, we've got history. Oh, look at this turbo boost gauge, and notice that boost gauge goes up to 40 pounds of boost, which you almost will peg out when you're on the road. So this big diesel engine is making a lot of boost. We have a transmission temperature gauge, handy when you're towing. Diesel exhaust fluid gauge, very important, because when you run out of that stuff, the truck will cease to function, because we need to keep the air clean. So you need to know when that's running low. We have tire pressure, digital speedometer, which I always like. Engine information. Look at that. I've had 93 hours in this engine with 13 idle hours. Cool. We got a whole bunch of trailer-specific towing stuff, including trailer tire pressure. If you're really serious about towing your trailers, that's a pretty cool feature to have. So as long as you have TPMS sensors on your trailer itself, this thing will monitor the tire pressure. Got a whole bunch of other things like light checks, towing information, towing status. We can get more about that later. Some off-road integrated or off-road specific pages here. And of course the settings. So just a cornucopia of information that this dashboard will give you, but it's not overloaded. So once you get used to it, there's a lot you can use, and you can configure it kind of how you need to configure it. So this particular vehicle is equipped with the Sync 3 system. I'm kind of warming up to the whole design of this thing. It's got a nice mix of physical knobs, buttons, and a touchscreen, but you have enough knobs of your frequently used stuff that is familiar to you. I'll go over a little bit more later, but the system works decently well. We've got a adjustment here for your gain on a braking system if your trailer is equipped with power brakes. We've got a knob here to facilitate transfer case operation and a locking rear differential. So pull this bad boy out. You can see here, and we've locked the rear differential. Very cool thing to have. And you can lock it in two-wheel drive as well as 4 high or 4 low. I like that. We've got heated and cooled seats, 3 positions there. Automatic climate control, navigation, a Sony premium audio system, which is actually pretty decent. It's a small step up from what you'd find in the F-150 or the older F-150 like mine, or the lower end models. Has good volume, decent frequency response. It's the clarity is not outstanding, but it's not a bad audio system at all. So you have room galore. Look at the size of this center console here, and you've got room in here to store all of your stuff. You could just about fit a cooler in there. Nice little slide away here. You got your USB slots or your USB ports for cables and CarPlay and Android Auto and all that stuff. You got cup holders nearby, cup holders in the back. Boy, I'm just flying through this thing. Leather stitching on the dash with deviated color there. Whew. Yeah, these are kind of cool. So these don't actually do anything. They're just there in case you want to wire up additional items that do something cool. But you could always confuse your passengers by flipping them in a random order and act like you're doing a pre-flight check in your aircraft. Big panoramic sunroof, nice. Tow mirrors, which are power operated. You can move them in and out, which you'd want to do if you had a big old trailer back there and you wanted to see what was going on with it. Very good camera system on this vehicle. Got the 360 degree view from the top there, standard rear view. Put it in reverse, and we've got some more options to deal with. So you've got regular old rear camera. Got your rear camera off to the sides, looking down into our bed. An auxiliary camera that you can mount somewhere that isn't equipped in this car, but it'd be a good idea, for instance, to put it on your trailer. And a trailer specific backing mode, which if you set it up with a trailer, there's a little checkered kind of a sensor reflector that you need to mount on the trailer itself. You need to do some basic state programming or some calibration with your trailer. You can use all sorts of functionality with the trailer camera, including a jackknifing warning and just some additional aids to help you drive the trailer and back it up, which can be stressful for some people. And some people are going to argue, I can drive a trailer anytime, I don't need a computer to help with that. But that's fine. So you have the option of using it or not using it. So I could actually spend a long time talking about all the features on this thing. We're going to go ahead and take this thing for a drive because it ensured this video is already too long. Put it back in drive. Now on these broken back roads here, the ride quality is quite stiff and even jarring. But as we know, adding some weight to the back of these things, if you do haul weight frequently, really improves the ride quality. You can even hear it in my voice, I'm sure. Not have the opportunity to take the Super Duty off-road. It is equipped with the FX4 off-roading package, which includes the additional skid plates. On the F-150, it also includes the locking electronic differential. I'm not entirely sure if it's a separate item on the 250 or if it's just included in the FX4 package. But in any case, for some mild off-roading, as long as you're not in any tight and technical area, you can definitely take this beast off-road. That's enough of that. Whoa. All right. Whew. Let's let the Power Stroke eat. So as you'd imagine, a 6.7 liter turbocharged diesel engine puts out an absolute massive amount of torque. There's a power band from just over 1,000 RPM to 3,000 RPM where the engine is rather effortless. There's minimal lag from the centrally mounted turbocharger. A little bit at times, but once you get that thing up on the boost, it shoves you in the back of the seat. And it's not especially a fast truck. Certainly something like a EcoBoost 3.5 F-150 is going to beat it in a drag race. But it's hard to describe, just the way the torque comes on. The engine can, at low RPMs, give you a lot of thrust within this narrow power band. And you can tell that the engine just is not burdened with the weight of the vehicle, and you can tell that you put a trailer behind this thing, it's gonna march on with without any struggles at all. Brakes work pretty well considering the size of the vehicle. The brake pedal has a, let's say, moderately firm feel. There is a little bit of sponginess to it, but it feels like you can haul the thing down from speed. I've driven plenty of pickup trucks in my day that just have, let's say, marginal brakes that you don't feel that comfortable bringing the vehicle down at speed. And the Super Duty seems to have a pretty capable braking system. The brake pedal, or the brake system, has squealed a little bit from time to time at low speeds, but I think that's kind of the trade-off you get with a pad material that's going to be up to the task of braking such a large truck and trailer combination that this thing is rated to work with. So unfortunately, during the couple days I had to play with this F-250 Super Duty, I did not have any opportunities to put it to its real test, which would be towing a massive trailer or hauling around thousands of pounds in the bed. The heaviest thing I put in the back of the bed was my 20-some pound carbon fiber mountain bike. So I really can't give you much of a review on how this thing is when you're using it as it's meant to be used. But as many people do, I can tell you how these things drive on the street. And I can tell you that Ford has made huge strides in making a heavy-duty truck like this into something that can be comfortably driven on a daily basis. So it's not, I wouldn't go so far as calling it car-like, because there's not much you can do to a nearly 8,000 pound truck to make it truly behave like a car. But the level of refinement and usability and comfort that you get in a truck with this kind of ultimate capability is pretty remarkable. And I do tend to believe that Ford is at the front of this. The amount of tech, which is, you know, the weight savings aluminum technology that they're using in the body, or the electronics, you know, the camera view system, the trailer assistance, and the luxury and the build quality. I really do feel that Ford is at the top of their game with this, and it is a very compelling choice for the best in the segment. I am pretty partial to what they're putting out right now, and I do think anybody looking at these should definitely spend some time looking at the Super Duty, because I think there's more reasons for it than against it. So on regular paved roads, the Super Duty, as you would expect, it rides firmly. There's just no way getting around the stiff springs that are needed to carry this kind of, 4,000 plus payload and handle this kind of trailer towing ability. It has very stiff springs. However, Ford has made great progress in taking this difficult necessity in building a heavy-duty pickup and taking the harshness out of it. So you can tell the truck rides firmly, but it's not as bad as you'd expect, and it's hugely improved from previous generations. If you drive a heavy-duty pickup from, let's say, 10 years ago, I mean, it is positively backbreaking when the truck is unloaded. And this goes to a level that's definitely, let's say, tolerable, and I mean that in a pretty nice way. So the ride quality is hugely improved to the point where you could daily drive this thing and be okay with the ride quality. Over some types of rough pavement, especially, let's say, you know, a rough railroad crossing or something of that nature, you definitely notice how stiff the truck is and how heavy the unsprung componentry is. So these wheels and tires and axles, you can feel them bouncing around under some types of pavement. But it's hugely improved, and once again, they're doing the best they can with the necessity of the heavy-duty equipment that it takes to make a vehicle with this sort of towing and payload capabilities. I don't want to say car-like, because you are piloting a 8,000 plus pound pickup truck, but dang, they've really done a good job of making this very drivable, something that a non-truck person would feel comfortable piloting. And to be honest, the modern driver assistance systems really are worth their weight in gold in an application like this. So the blind spot warning, the camera capabilities, and we'll go over that later. All of these features really improve the usability of such a big and heavy truck. Now, personally, do I want to daily an F-250? Not really, but for people that maybe need the capability and aren't willing to buy it as just an extra vehicle, feeling that they need to drive it every day, yeah, it's the best it's ever been. It's really a smooth, comfortable, well-mannered vehicle for the most part. But like I said, you definitely get a better drive out of an F-150. The size difference, the ride quality difference, an F-150 is much smoother. But once again, that's due to the substantially lower payload and towing capabilities that you get out of the 150. It's really... take it for a drive. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how well these modern trucks drive. And they're certainly not lacking in features. The latest generation here has just about all the features that you're going to expect in a top-level, let's say, semi-luxurious vehicle. So, hats off to Ford. This is a excellent driving truck, no doubt about it. And you know what? All of those 925 pound-feet of torque are immensely fun to have under the hood. You just put the accelerator down a little bit, and the truck just accelerates. Now, you can't confuse this type of power delivery with fast, because on paper, the 0 to 60 and quarter mile times are not impressive by any stretch of the imagination, but the kind of effortless capacity this powertrain has for cresting grades or pulling trailers or mid-range acceleration, it's impressive. I hope everybody can drive a vehicle with this type of torque at some point in their lives, just to feel what that kind of power delivery feels like. So there's this swell of torque you get around 2,000 to 3,000 RPM. Where it's kind of interesting because the tachometer doesn't sweep all that much, but you notice the speedometer just starts climbing like crazy because of the tall gearing and the heavy torque that this engine puts out. You can really tell that you put a modest trailer behind this thing, a couple thousand pounds, and it's not going to be too bothered. You're hardly going to notice the performance difference at all. And overall, the fuel consumption out of the 6.7 liter Scorpion Power Stroke V8 is impressive considering the size of this beast. So right now it says 14.4 in pretty much every type of driving condition I've put it in, from stop and go city to mashing the throttle all the time to highway driving, you're averaging somewhere between 14 and 18 miles per gallon, which really isn't all that bad considering it's about the same as I get out of my 5-liter gasoline F-150, which is a substantially smaller truck than this thing. So these things aren't rated under the EPA test guidelines, but I would expect most customers to be getting around 15, 16, 17 miles per gallon out of this thing, which if you live in a state with lower highway speed limits, even, you know, approaching 20 miles per gallon is probably possible, which can't complain about that, to be honest. You know, it's not thrifty on fuel, but considering what this thing does, it's really not that bad. Let's try out the exhaust brake. You can see a little light there. You need to get a fair amount of engine RPM up before you can feel the effects of the engine braking. Shift it to manual mode for that. Oh yeah, there's a big difference. Now, if you're going to be using the exhaust braking feature, I would actually prefer a more user-friendly way to manually change the gears. So that the transmission with the column-mounted shifter over here, there is a manual mode. You see it indicated by the M. But the way you upshift and downshift is just this little tiny rocker over here on the column-mounted shifter, and it's not that user-friendly from an ergonomic standpoint. In this case, a console-mounted shifter, or even better, shift paddles would be much more user-friendly in actually utilizing the manual capabilities. And if you want to use that engine brake, you're going to need to use a manual shifting portion of the shift programming. So that part could be improved. I'm really impressed by the transmission in this thing. So these types of trucks in days of old used to have very sloppy, slow shifting transmissions. This 6-speed from Ford, when you need performance, it can snap off real quick shifts. At slow speeds, it does a really good job of driving smoothly. It's responsive to upshifts and downshifts. It's a really well-mated transmission for this 6.7-liter Power Stroke engine. As mentioned before, the only constructive improvement I could see is a little bit more user-friendly setup for the manual shifting portion of the transmission control. That guy just lost his hubcap. Bro! Pushing that Altima a little bit hard, huh? The high load capacity, somewhat narrow rear tires don't stand a chance when you unleash a 925 pound-feet of torque from this Power Stroke V8 diesel. Alright, I've just pulled into a Home Depot, which is somewhat appropriate here, and I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how the camera assistance systems really make it easier to navigate this behemoth of a truck in tight day-to-day parking situations. Alright. Got this wimpy little Colorado over here. Just kidding, guys. I like the Colorado too. We're going to go ahead and try to shove that in the parking space right next to the Colorado. Let's go ahead and turn on the camera system. Don't quite have enough turning radius, I think, to fully make it in here, but it'll be close. So we get up as close as we can. You can see we're definitely not in the center of the parking spot. I don't even need to open the door and check. So go ahead and back it up a little bit. Boom. Dead center. Not quite, but let's say close enough. So even in crowded parking situations like this, the 360-degree camera really makes it much easier to get this thing parked and placed where you want it to be. Let's back it out. That's really nice. So an interesting byproduct of the extremely stiff suspension that you need to handle the payload and the trailer towing capacity this thing has is the absolute lack of body roll in corners. So you kind of got this illusion of going slower than you really are, you know, the super high seating position and the lack of body roll. So when you have, let's say, a tighter corner, or you're pulling off of a highway and you're on an exit ramp rated at 35, 40, 50 miles an hour, you need to pay attention to your speed, because it kind of sneaks up on you on this thing. The ultimate grip capacity is not, it's not going to be as high as a car, but you have this illusion of going slower than you really are. So you do need to be a little bit more mindful of the speeds at which you're taking corners in this thing, because you will reach its capabilities quicker than you would in a normal car. As I said before, man, the speed is really deceiving in this thing. Going 60 miles per hour, and to be honest, it does not feel like it. It feels more like 45 to 50 miles per hour. So you do kind of have to recalibrate the way you drive after being in one of these for a while. It's easy to find yourself going faster than you anticipate, simply because you're up so high. See if we can get a perspective here, but you're not quite at big rig level, but you're pretty darn close up in this thing. It's a big, tall truck. And just like that, we're over 80 miles per hour. So ultimately, this thing has an electronic limiter at just under 100 miles per hour, and to be honest, it's pretty easy to reach that, even in Michigan, where traffic speeds can be upwards of 85 plus miles per hour on the highway at times. It's probably due to overall safety in the vehicle, entire speed rating, and all of that kind of stuff. But it gets up to speed with little hesitation, considering how large the vehicle is. And wind noise is quite low, considering how square and slab-sided this thing is, with huge mirrors out in the windstream. Ford has done a great job, whether it's via clever wind tunnel design or sound dampening. Not quite sure either way, but it's a very smooth and quiet highway ride, all things considered. Here's one of those tight highway interchanges I was talking about. So rated at 25 miles per hour, we will not stray all that far from that, because corner carving is not this thing's forte. All right, so the question on literally nobody's mind is, will the 2017 Ford F-250 Power Stroke Super Duty do a burnout with 925 pound-feet of torque? I would hope so. So let's go ahead and, we're going to go ahead and lock that rear differential up because we don't want to do a one-wheel burnout. That's no good for anybody. We're going to turn off all of the nannies that will allow us to be turned off. There we go. That should do it. Drop it and drive. We're going to see if we can light the tires. And what do you know? We lit the tires. Let's go ahead and do a quick 0 to 60 run here. Have everything turned off. Gonna power brake the transmission, get the turbo spooled up. A little bit of wheel spin. And of course, the question on literally nobody's mind, will you drift or can you drift in the Super Duty? It's a little bit of work, but you know what? I got this thing kind of sideways. Let's do that again. Just because it's fun. So, bottom line, what do I think of the all-new 2017 Ford F-250 Super Duty? I'm really impressed. As a pickup guy, I can respect the capability, the technology that went into it, even if I don't need a truck this big. But I respect the fact that Ford is really pushing the boundaries in terms of putting new technology into the heavy-duty pickup segment where typically there hasn't been much technology. It's always been fueled more by traditional know-how or what works, not in terms of using new technologies like the aluminum body construction to reduce weight, which ultimately increases payload and increases performance, and other things like the driver assistance systems, which make day-to-day use and trailer operation easier, to the amazing level of refinement they've been able to put into a vehicle with this much ultimate heavy-duty capability. I think that Ford is really at the forefront of making an all-around package that works well as a day-to-day vehicle and also has the capabilities that people who are serious about their towing or serious about their off, let's say, you know, the construction foreman, the builders, the oil rig people that need to get out there, the managers for that type of occupation, they're gonna want or need a truck like this. Let's not forget the farmers that are doing well out on the farm and need something to tow their horses with. This is got to be up there. It would be my choice. Now, without a fair head-to-head comparison, it's hard for me to draw conclusions in an absolute sense, but my feeling is that Ford is really on top of their game with this new entry, and I have a hard time not picking this as my vehicle of choice out of the big three. And this particular part is not specific to the Ford, but you go online to the configurator and any of the big three pickups can be configured in absolute endless number of ways, including wheelbases, cab configurations, suspension configurations, payloads, options, etc., etc., etc. You can really buy or order just the truck you need for the type of use you're going to have for it. So for me, I don't need the truck capabilities all that often. You know, on the occasional weekends I will use it for hauling appliances or hauling camping gear or mountain bikes or sporting equipment, or yard work or this kind of things. But I don't have a big RV or a horse trailer or anything like that, so I don't need, you know, 10,000 pounds plus of towing capacity. So I appreciate the more car-like features you get out of the F-150. But if you're towing a serious trailer or hauling some serious weight in the bed, you best be looking at something with more capabilities than the F-150 is going to be putting out, and that's where this new Super Duty comes in. It really has a great set of features that make it very livable on a day-to-day basis, from the technology to the comfort to the build quality. It's not perfect. Some touches like this, you know, fake wood grain here is still a little bit on the cheesy side, but overall build quality is vastly improved from previous generations, and it's at a darn nice level now. Let's keep it in perspective. This is now, as equipped, a $75,000 truck, which is a whole lot of money. Personally, I would probably step it down a few levels from the full loaded, you know, King Ranch package and make do with something a couple $1,000s less. But in any case, you can have it all, from the work truck configuration all the way up to the Platinum, which offers an amazing set of features that 10-15 years ago you wouldn't even imagine would be available in a heavy duty pickup. So for those of you in the market for it, yeah, it's pretty sweet. I like this thing a whole lot. I would like to do a comparison sometime with the other heavy duty pickup trucks, but for now, this is my pick. So that's it. That's my opinion. This is Chris Osberg with Winding Road Magazine. I hope you'd enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for more reviews from vehicles big and small, fast and slow, sometimes both at the same time. So, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll be seeing you guys on the next review. Thanks again, and see ya.